Leaders, I want you to lean in. Let me ask you a question. How much of your life are you actually leading intentionally? Or how much of it are you leading in survival? Many successful people are carrying invisible stories, people-pleasing, childhood messages that told them that they weren't enough. Stories that quietly shape how they lead, serve, and show up in relationships. Well, tonight's conversation is about more than just leadership. It's actually about healing, boundaries, and it's about what's happening when a person stops performing for approval and starts living for purpose. My guest has spent more than 30 years building systems and pathways for others, but her most important work may have been the work she did on herself. This conversation is for every leader who is ready to stop living by default and start leading and living by design. This conversation is for you. So let's create the flip that you have been waiting for. What's making strong leaders in this season? Leadership and influence. It's rooted in the responsibility you take. You pay attention to the patterns, your calm, your strength, your hope. It's all integrated. We are living in a time where trust is fragile and people are watching not just what leaders say, but how they decide. Integrity is not optional anymore. Obedience is going to cost you. In this season, we're not just flipping adversity. We're forming leaders who can carry what comes next. Leaders from across all dimensions of fields and spaces. They're going to come together to give you the best of their wisdom. And I want you to leave each episode with a call to action. That's the work. That's the calling. And that's the conversation we're stepping into together. Hello and welcome. I am Dr. Veirdre Jackson, the CEO and creative behind Living Strong Consulting. And I'm so excited to have our guest who is a leader in her own right, but I get to call her friend. And I've been looking forward to being able to share her wisdom, her lived experience, and her insight with you. So let me tell you a little bit about her. Caroline Campana-Reynolds is a recognized workforce development leader, educator, and coach with more than 30 years of experience strengthening the early childhood workforce through innovative career paths, apprenticeship programs, and professional learning systems. As Director of Workforce Strategy and Professional Learning at First Up, she leads transformative efforts that expand opportunity and develop future leaders across Pennsylvania. Through her professional work and her personal journey, Caroline empowers others to stop living by default and start living by design, creating lives rooted in purpose, peace, and possibility. Oh, I'm so excited. For the first time, but not the last time, we welcome to the flip side of adversity, Caroline Campana-Reynolds.
Woo! I'm so excited to be here. This is such an honor and a privilege. We've known each other for 15 years or longer, I think.
Yes.
We still look the same.
We sure do.
We do.
I love it.
And it's just an honor to have watched your career. And here we are together. And I'm just so excited. So excited. A little nervous, but excited.
You know what? I appreciate your yes. And as we walked in the studio together, I said, this is literally just going to be like one of our lunch dates, sitting across the table.
That's right.
Just sharing truth.
Yeah.
Encouragement to one another.
Yeah.
We're just going to, Have
That sounds
a couple
great.
thousand people eventually
Well, let's
listen
not
to us.
think about that. We're just here together.
Yes. So you have entrusted me and the show with your story,
Yep.
with your truth.
Yeah.
And so you shared that this actually is starting from a place of you healing from childhood trauma.
Yeah.
What did that healing journey actually look like for you?
It's been a long journey. And I think a journey that I took that I didn't even realize until recently that it was healing from childhood trauma. And it's been really impactful in my personal life, in my work life, and has really just kind of grounded me. And I'm just really excited to share my story. And I'm going to come to you with vulnerability tonight because this is the first time I'm actually sharing my story.
Wow.
So it's going to be the first time that a lot of people have heard it.
Oh.
And so, but I feel that by sharing my story, I'm going to be able to hopefully help a lot of other people and really make the connection between self-healing internally and leadership and the difference. You know, I have a lot of education in leadership. I have a master's degree in leadership. I have a nonprofit executive leadership degree from Bryn Mawr College.
Yes.
I went to the Disney Business Institute and learned all about leadership. And over the last 30 years have taken professional development and courses and all kinds of things. And I have a great career in leadership. But once I took this step into healing internally, boy, it's been a game changer.
Yes.
It's been a game changer.
And I don't think leaders realize that you can run from, push down, ignore those elements of yourself that are not fully healed.
Yep.
But they are actually still impacting your leadership and those that you lead.
Yep.
And something that is absolutely beautiful, and I appreciate your honesty and your vulnerability and willingness, is as we started this conversation, you pulled out a picture.
I did.
And you said that this conversation is actually for her.
Yep.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. I am in the process of healing, and this picture is of 4-year-old Caroline, who is pretty cute. And I'm doing this for her because I want her to heal. I want her to know that she's safe. I want her to know that what happened to her is not her fault and that I've got her. And we're going to do great things for this next half of my life.
Yes.
So I'm really excited. And I have that picture on my bathroom mirror so that every morning after I do my morning routine, which we're going to get into later tonight, is that I just need to be reminded that everything I do and for those that I want to help, it's for her.
Yes. You're setting that intention, purpose,
Absolutely,
vision.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that when life is coming at us, we can actually lose sight and touch of that intention.
Exactly.
Setting.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's so important to be grounded.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a game changer if leaders can learn how to ground themselves and to self-regulate. It's a new world.
So when you look back over your journey, your story, what is the biggest difference between the woman who was living by default, not really connecting with how her childhood was still showing up, and the woman who's actually living by design?
Yeah. Well, it starts out, and I think it's important to share the story because I think you need to hear the story to get the connection. So I grew up with a very verbally abusive parent. And that parent, from the youngest age of 4, which is why I use that picture because that's when I have my first memories, was constantly telling me that I was stupid, that I was not worthy, that I would never amount to anything, that they didn't like me. She would say, my mother would say to me, Caroline, I don't like you. constantly. And she would say it to my brother as well. And as we know as early education folk, that what you tell a small child sticks. And at that age, you don't have the capabilities to say, no, I'm not stupid. Of course I'm not stupid. You can't say that to me. You believe it. And so that is how I was raised. And so what happens from that is I started from an early age thinking that value was placed on accomplishments. So I was a really good little girl because all I wanted was to get that acceptance, and I wanted to be liked by my own mother. And so I would place my value and just keep trying to make her proud of me, right? And that carried into my adulthood, right? I'm like, the more educated I am, the higher I get on the ranks in my profession, the better my title is, the better mother I am, the better the perfect home, the perfect life, how I present myself. That is how I'm going to get value. And it took a very long time for me to realize that that's not what my value is, right? My value is who I am. And I need to be authentic and know who I am. And so that has been a real game changer. And a lot of people recently have been saying, and I think, I don't know if you remember, we had lunch a year ago.
We did.
I think it was this time that year. And we walked away and you said that was a really authentic step in our relationship. And that's kind of when it started. And it's such full circle to be here literally a year later talking to you about this story and talking about how that childhood and what happens to you in your childhood, you can either be a victim to it and blame it, or you can take it and heal from it. And I think it's important to also know that I don't place blame. I'm not angry at my mother. I'm not angry at my childhood. Everything that has happened in my life has made me who I am. And I am really proud of who I am. Yeah. And it's part of my tapestry. So all of the things that weave into that tapestry is Caroline. And so that is where we sit today. And as we're working through understanding what my value is, and I know we're going to get into people pleasing, and that all stems from that childhood trauma as well.
The ability to really recognize that your worth is not tied to your accomplishments. It is not what you do, but who you are.
Absolutely.
Is almost that shift that also as a leader, when a leader is operating from that place, they then create a blueprint for all of the other who are adults, but still living out those childhoods, those 4 and 8-year-olds that are inside of them. Yep. It gives them permission, the blueprint, to say, you know what, who do I actually want to be?
Exactly. Exactly.
That inner work is oftentimes so much harder than the professional work.
Yeah.
Your accolades are many. I could have spent the first 10 minutes of the show.
I spent my life finding my value.
Reading your bio, which is amazing. And I don't want to diminish the fact that you've put in the work to have the credentials for where you are standing.
Yeah.
But that inner work is harder.
Yeah.
What were some of the keys that you found that helped you unlock things from your past that were holding you hostage?
Well, I think that I came to a point I'm going to say like 15 years ago, I came to a point where I wanted to stop this rushing and this survival mode, and I wanted to start healing. So I'm a lifelong learner. So I just started kind of dipping into reading some books. And the first book that I read was called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And it talks about how successful people have these morning routines. And I was like, all right, let me look into that. And so back then, not knowing much about what I know now, I started doing a morning routine. And boy, let me just tell you that has been a game changer for me, a game changer. So I do a morning routine every day. It's called Savers. So SAVERS. ERS. And so there are 6 things that I do every morning. And yes, I get up an hour earlier, and I know that's hard, but I promise you that it is so worth it. Mm-hmm. And now if I don't do this morning routine, I miss it and my day is not great. Mm-hmm. And a couple of months ago, my life got real busy and I was traveling and I didn't get the opportunity to kind of do this morning routine. And it opened my eyes to really how I need that time to self-regulate and I need that time to get grounded.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about that routine because this is the routine that I want to help others kind of learn about. So the S stands for silence. And if there's one thing I'm going to share with everybody, it's you need to put some silence into your life, because if you can just sit in silence, which for some people is really uncomfortable, you can really take that time. That's when I think, that's when I reflect, that's when I meditate. So I listen to a meditation every day. I love the Calm app, and I use that every morning. And I really can just be. And I've figured out a lot of things by just being silent. It's amazing what will happen if you stop scrolling on your phone and just sit. You can do it. The amount of time we spend scrolling, I tell people this all the time. If you just stop scrolling, you could make a morning routine for yourself.
Yes.
I love it. So I do that. And then I move into the A, which is affirmations, which are so powerful, right? So I have a journal and I must have 35 of them by now. And the half of the journal I use for affirmations, and I will just sit there and just write what comes to mind. And I will say that it is hard sometimes. It's really hard to really think that about yourself, especially if you're going through something. And so if I'm really struggling with it, then I will just sit and look and read the pages and pages and pages and remind myself of who I am. And that really helps ground me. Yeah. So that's the A. And then the V is visualization. I'm a big believer in vision boards. I have a vision board that I create every year on New Year's Day. It's a ritual for me. It sits in my office above my desk. And I must tell you that I've had a vision board for 15 years. And every year, whatever is on that vision board comes true. I've met my husband from my vision board. I have gotten a position teaching college from my vision board. I've grown in my career on my vision board. I've moved into a home that I've always wanted to live in on my vision board. I've gotten a golf score that I've always wanted on my vision board. Everything that I put on that vision board comes to fruition, and it's really amazing.
So with that vision board, because I just want to pause a moment, not to lose track of savers. So silence, affirmation, and vision. Can you just lean in for a moment? Because sometimes people think or create or go to these vision board parties and think like magically,
it'll happen.
This will happen. What is a key approach you have with after you have made the vision board? What's the connection between the board and the outcomes that you've seen?
Yeah, so it's kind of like the research says that if you write things down, it'll it'll happen, and you'll be more accountable for making it happen. So having this visual that sits in front of me all the time, all day long. I'm in my office 9 hours a day, 10 hours a day, and I just look up at it, and it just reminds me and keeps me grounded in what my goals are, what I'm looking for. And so I just keep looking at it, and each thing happens. So I might forget that I wanted to have a position at a higher ed institution teaching. Well, it reminds me that, I should be looking, or let me apply, or let me connect with somebody. And that's how that happens. And, living in the home that I'm living in, I made steps to get to that place, whether that's saving, whether that's moving, whether that's, making those steps in what you need to get there. It's just a visual reminder of that. And I think that's so powerful, because we all say that we want all these things or want to accomplish all these things, but if you don't write it down or you don't put it somewhere, how are you going to remember to do all of that?
Especially when we are in a season of survival and fear, uncertainty, and constantly changing.
Yep.
Your brain is not going to hold on to those conscious dreams when your focus is drawn to survival.
Yep.
So that consistent visual, whether it is implicit or intentional, continues to kind of be that North Star.
That's right.
And as you said, the accountability for, in January, I put that image of the college on my board.
Yeah.
What am I doing now
to get there?
To align my actions with what I said I wanted.
That's right. That's right. It's a great reminder. And another piece of visualization that I do too is I look at my schedule for the day, and it allows me to be very intentional in thinking about who I'm speaking with, what meetings do I have, what is it that I'm hoping to accomplish. And it gets me grounded and ready and actually makes me present, right? Mindfulness and being present in my day. And I think about, I'm going to learn, what am I going to learn from today? What am I going to take away from today? And what is the impact? And how am I going to serve today? Yes. And it gets me pumped up for my day.
I'm literally feeling like this moment of when you're visualizing, how am I going to serve? Not just what I'm going to get.
Oh, yeah. No, for me, it's all about serving.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when I'm setting that intention and I'm driving in, or I'm even thinking and visualizing the face of the person or the people who I have an assignment to impact.
That's right. Yep.
There's, again, that layer of accountability, intentionality, and you're putting it into motion.
That's right.
So I interrupted you. You said
that's okay.
Silence, affirmation, visualization.
You're a good student. The last one, or the next one, is E for exercise. I will say.
She went all the way down with that one.
Not my favorite, but it is so important to move your body. We all know that. And there is such a lot of information about a sedentary lifestyle right now. And it is because we're so virtual, because we're so technology driven, sedentary lifestyle is big. Yeah. And so I make sure that I do something every day to move my body for 30 minutes. And I've really made some boundaries around that. So boundaries are something new for me. And so
we haven't even gotten to people pleasing. She's already solving for it.
You'll see the connection when we get to people pleasing. So making boundaries, because I need that movement also to ground me and to self-regulate. So that could mean going outside for 10 minutes and getting some sun. A lot of people that have suffered from childhood trauma, there's lots of things that come out. I have an autoimmune disease from my childhood trauma. And so vitamin D, I lack that. So getting outside just for 10 minutes is really great. Yesterday, my schedule was so full. I didn't have a lot of time, but I had a 30-minute break. I went for a 10-minute walk around the block. I got out, I do play golf. I do go and do Pilates. And then sometimes I just take on a free video from YouTube, whether it's a Pilates or yoga or just something to move your body. You don't have to go to a gym. I'm very intimidated by gyms. And if you go to gyms, good, very happy for you, but it's not my thing. I'd rather be active and do something. So that's E for exercise.
And find your thing.
I also love pickleball. Yeah. If you haven't tried pickleball, that's so much fun.
I have been hearing about this pickleball. Yep. I have watched people, but I have not gotten out there yet. You're going to have to take me out.
We are going to do pickleball.
You're going to have to take me out because, I'm intimidated. I watch people. I'm like,
yeah, it's a lot.
With a friend, I'll do
more workout than you think. My husband was making fun of it. And then we joined like a little club by our house and started doing pickleball together. And he was like, now we have to say, did you take your Advil before you go? Because it's a workout and it's so much fun and you get to meet a lot of great people. So definitely try that too.
Yes. So she snuck that exercise in there.
Yeah. So the next one is R, right? So that's reading. So I am all about reading leadership books, self-help books. I have a whole array of them in my home office. I just started posting on LinkedIn my top 10 favorite books and why. So I make sure that I just take 10 minutes to read pieces of that. Yeah. And because I have my journal there, I can also kind of scribe and take some notes on that. So that's what the R is for. And if you don't like to read, that's okay too. Listen to a podcast. There's so many great podcasts. No pun intended,
right.
That talk about, self-care and leadership and these topics. So just even listening to a podcast during that time, a little bit at a time.
What are you feeding your mind?
I'm retraining my brain.
Yeah.
I'm retraining my brain.
Yeah. Because if we recognize scarcity survival stress is going to take up space in our mind. So how are we actually not just removing it, but replacing it?
Yep. It's so important because we know that if you think about those adverse childhood experiences, how they got all those neurons going in your brain, right? And they wired your brain with negativity, right? Or self-doubt and all of these things. You can actually rewire your brain. So by doing all of these things, you can rewire, you can learn, and even the affirmations, right? Affirmations retrain your brain to shift from those negative thoughts that you may have to more positive thoughts.
Yes.
So it's time to rewire.
Is there one more?
S, scribing. So that's
journaling. Time to write it down.
It's time to write it down. So I do gratitude journaling. So every day I write a whole list of what I'm grateful for. And sometimes it could be I'm just grateful for the hot cup of coffee I'm drinking. And then other times it's really something deeper, like I'm really grateful that I got to have time with my son this weekend, or really grateful that I'm in this place in my life, or that I've created this time. And again, if I have trouble that day and I'm not feeling it, I'll go back and read the pages and pages and pages. And it really just kind of fuels my soul.
Yes.
Yeah, it really does.
So for the leader who is like, Caroline, that's like 6 different things. I don't have time for all of that.
60 minutes, 10 minutes each. But you know what?
Give yourself
Choose
an
one.
hour.
Give yourself some grace.
Start.
Choose one.
Just start.
I just had a conversation with someone a couple weeks ago who wanted to learn more about the morning routine that I did. And so I met with them. And as you start sharing your story, other people start sharing their story, and a very similar story to mine. And so she's like, I'm going to start doing the morning routine, but it's too overwhelming to start. I said, I get it. Choose one thing. What do you think? And she goes, affirmations. I really struggle with that. I think I'm going to start with affirmations. So I said, okay, so what are you thinking you're going to do that? She's like, I'm going to get up a half an hour early tomorrow, and I'm just going to give myself like 10 minutes to do the affirmations. But she goes, what do I say to myself?
Yes.
And I said, okay. I go, well, you want to start thinking about things that are great about yourself. And she goes, I don't have anything.
Yeah.
I said, all right, well, let's do it together. Let's practice.
Yeah.
So I chose 5 or 6 things that I knew about this person. They were creative. They are a great mother. They're a great friend. And so I had her starting to repeat them. And let me tell you, it was really hard for her to do that. And she started to cry. Yeah. That's how powerful it can be. Yeah. And she said, okay, I'm going to do this. And a couple weeks later, she reached out and said, this morning routine is amazing. And it's really helping me shift my mindset for my day, for myself, and for my son. And he's seeing me do this work. Yes. And I was like, keep going, girl, keep going.
Yes. I read this book called Growing Up Again by Jean Isley Clark. And there's a whole affirmation section. I think it's chapter 25 of the book. And she had this concept of recognizing that when you were not affirmed as a child, it is very difficult for you to affirm yourself, but also for you to affirm other people.
Yeah, yes.
And so it was interesting because she said, if you struggle with giving your affirmation to yourself now, speak to the child that needed to.
Put that picture up on your mirror.
Speak to the child that needed to hear it.
Yep.
And it doesn't have to be I. She said you can start with you are and speak to that child that needed
that
inside of you until you can change that you to I.
Yeah.
But recognizing that it's natural if you didn't receive it, it's natural that you're not going to be able to give it easily.
So empowering. Empowering.
So truthful.
Yeah.
And so savors, silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise. Don't tell me. Reading. Yeah. Read it and scribe it.
Yep.
All right, y'all. Y'all got the the whole savers. You got the routine. You got the nuggets. Because not only has Caroline begun to develop this morning routine that has shifted things for her.
Oh, yeah.
It's also freed her from people pleasing.
Oh boy, here we go. People pleasing.
But when and your story, although your story is unique to you and your lived
That's
experience, there are trends and patterns that show up in other people.
Yeah.
And when they have an experience, especially from younger years, that the struggle of people pleasing is so real.
Oh, it is.
It's so real.
Is. And that was a hard one for me. On like a lot of different levels, right? So the people pleasing kind of stems back again to that childhood, right? Because if you're living with a parent that is emotionally immature and emotionally not regulated, you're tiptoeing around trying to figure out how to keep the peace, right? And so I would just kind of, take on a lot of responsibilities at home. I was forced to take on a lot of responsibilities at a very young age. At 13 years old, I was working. I had a babysitting business, and that I needed to do that because I was financially had to support. I had to buy my own toothpaste, my own shampoo, my own clothing, and pay for everything at 13. And so people pleasing came from that survival mode, right? And then just tiptoeing around my home and making sure that my room was clean and I can do it. I'll help. I got it. And I thought that was a good trait because I was like, I'm such a nice person and I'm so kind and giving and I am selfless. And that was a big realization for me. Just until recently, I thought to be a good person, you had to be selfless. And I used to tell people that all the time and not knowing.
Wearing that badge.
Yeah. That is it. Perfection. I'm a perfectionist. And I used to say that was a positive trait in interviews. It's not.
How does people pleasing, perfectionism, that self-sacrificing to a fault, how does that create a detriment to leadership?
Oh, so many things. I think the first thing is you're not authentic because you're not being real. You're not who you are. So people are seeing this like shell of who you are because you're always trying to do the right thing, say the right thing. You're not speaking up in meetings because you are afraid you're going to say the wrong thing. You're not confident in what you know. Growing up being told that I'm stupid, right? In meetings, sitting there thinking, I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to agree with everybody because I'm a people pleaser and I'm not going to get messy and I'm not going to rumble. And I learned all of that this year, had help from an executive coach this past year with some of that because it was not comfortable for me based on my background. But I'm ready to rumble these days.
Yeah. and if there has ever been a time where we actually needed leaders who were willing to get messy, be disruptive, to shake status quo for greater, bigger, significant.
It is now.
It is now. That is huge for me as I'm listening to you. Like the very thing that we need from leaders right now is tied to releasing people-pleasing, perfection, rewriting that internal narrative.
Get it out because it's like stagnant. It makes you not be able to grow to be that. Playing golf helps me to learn to not be a perfectionist. Right. I started playing golf a couple of years ago, and one day I can go out and I play like I'm joining the women's PGA. Next day I go play and it's like I just picked up the golf club for the first time. That's really hard for someone that's a perfectionist, right? But I've learned that you got to be able to grow and learn from those experiences. So not everything's going to work. And speaking up and thinking about speaking up and rumbling. I don't like that word. I didn't like that word, but I'm getting used to it. And it's messy. And I think my team, I've always been a really strong leader and I have a lot of success in leadership. But since I've done this internal work, my leadership has shifted immensely. And my team is starting to pick up on it, and it's helping to empower them. Mm-hmm. So I have 2 managers, and I have a total of 8 people, and I am leading differently. And it's been a most amazing ride this past year, mm-hmm. With what I've been able to accomplish within myself that's been able to internally turn greatness into our team, into the work that we're doing, into the impact that we're creating out in the early childhood field. It's just been remarkable, and really also opens me up to think about my team on individuals.
Yes.
And thinking about what are they bringing, right? What do they bring? Using a human-centered design approach to leadership, right? And really asking them, I just went through a series of meetings of like, hey, what do you want to do next year? What projects do you want to work on? What projects do you not want to work on? Let me see what we can do. Is there something that you want, something new that you want to do? Wow. And being able to place my team into positions that they will succeed at.
Yes.
And it's been really great. And I always joke with my team. I say I use Andy Reid, the old Eagles coach, of putting your best players in a position to succeed. And that's my leadership style. Yes. I'm an empathetic leader. I'm a people-driven leader. Yes. And it shows. I have a great team.
And when you drop perfectionism and people-pleasing and all of those elements, it also allows you to shift your expectations.
Yep.
They're no longer unrealistic.
Absolutely.
They're actually human-centered. Mm-hmm. And that allows others to begin to recognize what's possible.
That's right.
And what's in you becomes replicated.
That's right.
In others.
And how can they grow? And where do they want to go? Like, it's all about that growth. I don't want to be anybody's boss. I don't want to be anybody's manager. Mm-hmm. I want to be your mentor. I want to help you grow. I want to help you reach your potential. And if you want to go off and be the best circus clown ever, then I'm going to help you get there. Because that's what I do as a leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know that you have had much, much success, and you are a powerful leader. How did you learn, as you were just sharing, how did you learn to sit in discomfort without abandoning who you are?
That's a great question. So doing all of this work, right, I do also want to kind of share that I also have been in therapy, so that has helped. And I think that's really a good place to be if you can do that. Learning some strategies. There's I don't know if I'm going to remember it, but it's the bear strategy, where if something gets me riled up, I take a minute and I breathe. And I examine what I'm feeling. Is it anxiousness? Are you angry? Are you upset? And then I name the feeling and kind of then say, why are you feeling this way? Because a lot of my reactions in the past have been a lot of inaccurate perceptions.
Wow.
And so,
there's so much in that. And
a lot of perceptions tied to that childhood trauma. So being able to do the bear, so examine, respond, acknowledge, and then respond. And that could be that I just need to take a deep breath, or that I need to actually excuse myself from somewhere and go for a walk, or I'm fine, because now I know that I'm good and I know how to regulate myself.
So I'm going to poke you a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
So especially because of the field that you are in, I'm thinking about my educators, my administrators, across the board, from infants to college students. They're like, okay, I've been activated. I don't have time for bear. I need to react quickly. Yeah. What do you say to them?
Let's think about the outcome.
Yeah.
What is the outcome that you're looking for? And what is going to be solved with your reaction? So we need to pause. We need to think. We need to kind of take that minute to step out of that environment just for a minute.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that we're responding in the most positive way.
Yeah. I was talking to a team earlier last week, and they are a team that works in adult probation. And one of the things that I said was, taking that tactical pause to assess what is going to be the most helpful response, not just the fastest.
Right. I like that. Yeah, that's so true.
Because as we create that tactical pause, you will either do bear or you're going to have to repair.
Yeah, that's
one
exactly
or the other.
Right. Yeah, and bear is much easier.
Bear's much easier
than repairing,
and it builds respect and continuity and that relationship that's going to pay you forward if you just take that tactical pause.
That's right. That's right.
Boundaries.
Oh. Boundaries have been, and if my family is listening, they're laughing.
They're laughing already.
Especially my sister, because I had none.
Ooh.
None, because I was the people pleaser and I will do everything and I will work 15-hour days and I'll do all the projects and I'll fix this and I got it. I used to say to my managers, I'll do it. I got it. I'll fix it. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. And, in my personal life, I just did it. I was just on autopilot. I got it all. I got it. I took care of the house. I worked full time. I raised our son. I took care of our finances. I just kept going. And that was me thinking that I was a great person.
Caroline,
it's almost like being a martyr.
Caroline, I'm exhausted just listening to the list.
Too.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
So when you made that shift and you became the architect of your life and you are literally redesigning it, this boundaries conversation, what did learning boundaries actually teach you about your worth, your relationship, your leadership, any of the above?
I can be better with boundaries. I can be a better wife, a better mother, a better friend, a better sister, a better daughter, a better manager, a better, mentor, a better leader by setting boundaries for myself. And I used to say that people that had boundaries were selfish. Right? Totally inaccurate thought process there. So I needed to flip that and realize that boundaries are making me less anxious. Boundaries are making me joyful. Boundaries are making me feel at peace. Yeah. And I am good. And it's resetting me. It's reconnecting me to what matters, to my relationships, to my work, to the service that I want to provide. And I have to think, I have a coworker that is really good at setting boundaries. And I know she's listening and I know she knows I'm talking about her. She taught me about boundaries. Yeah. And I'm so grateful for that. Yeah. I'm so grateful for that.
You mentioned the word joy. What does joy mean to you in this season in your life?
Joy is a new feeling for me, and I say it often. I have always been a happy person, happy, regardless of what has happened in my life. Most of the time, I'm happy. There's a big difference between feeling happy and feeling joyful. And I've only just recently discovered what joyful feels like. Joyful is deep down. Yeah. Happiness comes from buying a great new pair of shoes, eating a great big ice cream sundae. Yes. Those are all happiness. But joyfulness comes from deep inside where you're feeling at peace and that fluttering and anxiousness dissipates. It's unbelievable how the feeling of joy and peace, and I believe they're connected, joyful and peacefulness. And that's how I am functioning these days. And it's because of all of these steps and being able to self-regulate, right? And being able to really ground myself. And sometimes I have to ground myself in the day. There are days that I'm on Zoom for 9 hours straight. And it's really hard to think about how to ground yourself during those times. But it's instead of continuing to work because I didn't get to anything for 9 hours, I'm like having a boundary that I'm shutting it down. I'm not going to work 15 hours today. Just not, because that's not good for me. And it's not good for my team, for the clients that I'm serving, for my family. It's not good for anybody. Right. So let's set some boundaries.
Yes. The concept of joy for me has often in my mind, I feel like it is a state of being, not an emotion. Yeah. And so joy and peace, I absolutely also agree, is they are married to one another in that condition that my state of being when I am in that place of allowing joy to be rooted in my soul, I'm able to operate in a way that allows peace to show up for me, but also for me to be peace in places.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And I think that translates, right? I know as a leader, if I'm anxious, my team's anxious. If I'm worried, my team is worried, right? If I'm freaking out about something, they're freaking out about it. And I do not operate like that anymore. I will not. And I still see sometimes where some of my team will start getting a little bit anxious, and I'm like, let's take a minute.
Yeah.
Let's take a breath. It's okay.
Yeah.
We are here to serve. We're going to get it done. And we don't need to get ourselves all worked up about it. And I'm still working through that and figuring out how to do that for everyone. But it's a process.
It also sounds like there's an opportunity to also shift something, a term that I have most recently struggled with, because I feel like at times it has been misused and in some cases weaponized against people. And that's this concept of self-care.
Yeah.
And even if we connect it to this conversation of shifting from happiness to joy, how has your definition of self-care also evolved in this process, in this journey as a leader?
Self-care, the definition of self-care for me has dramatically changed. So self-care to me was a selfish term, and I don't have time for self-care because I am doing all these things for everybody else, and that's good. That's good.
And that's a very popular narrative.
Yeah, exactly. And then self-care started becoming, well, I got my nails done this week, or you know what, I'm going to sign up for a facial for my birthday. I got a gift card. That's self-care. And while I do like those things, as most of us do, self-care to me is not those things. Self-care to me is my morning routine. Self-care to me is having boundaries. Self-care for me is spending time with my family. Self-care to me is cooking. Cooking is my love language, and I love cooking and cooking for others. So self-care looks different for everyone. There is no one recipe of what self-care is. But for me, self-care is deeper. And really working on myself and really finding that joy and that peace.
It's an inner work, not just the surface
Correct.
work. Now, we're not trying to take your pedicure
no, because I just went yesterday.
Not trying to take the new pair of shoes from you. But to do this work in exhausting times, it's going to require something deeper.
Yep, you have to dig deep. You have to dig deep, and it's hard. It is hard, and it's hard to be honest with yourself, right? It's hard to think about things that happened to you in the past. Maybe it's hard to be real with yourself.
Yeah,
but
look in the mirror.
Look in the mirror, and
it's
really
not
be
always
honest.
Somebody else.
No, and make sure that you recognize the person that you're looking in the mirror. For so many years, I couldn't even look at myself in a mirror.
Wow.
I would look in the mirror to make sure that like my clothing was all fine, and that, but I never looked at the person in the mirror. And now I look at the person in the mirror.
So your leadership style, as you said, has really allowed you currently to stay rooted and grounded. You have routines and rituals. Your internal narrative has shifted. Your state of being from a place of joy, and it has affected your style that allows you to center your approach around empathy and kindness.
Yeah.
Today, in a world where there is so much self-preservation that is happening and scarcity, leadership is often equated with control. So how do you stay in a people or human-centered approach when there's so much in the echo chamber around self-preservation and control? You have to control this moment how do you stay, in that place?
I think it's just focusing on the people and still being empathetic, understanding, as I think I mentioned earlier, like what everybody's bringing baggage and things to the table, and understanding that. And the power of relationships, building relationships with everybody on the team, right? Outside of work, or in work. We had a lunch, I think a couple months ago, we did a pizza lunch, and I asked questions at the table where there were people at the table that had been in the organization for 20 years, people that had been there, that was their first day, and there were still things that people were learning and they loved it. We just asked silly questions around the table and doing things like that, including a lot of collaboration with the team, making sure that everybody is involved in the decision making, using data to decide things so that it's not me. I will never be that person that's sitting up in an office who is deciding what the people need. And here's what we need to do. And we're going to do this because I think it's what they want, or I'm passionate about this, so we're going to do this. It's what do the people need? What do we want to serve them with and help them and support them? And really collaborating together, using that human-centered design, collecting information, collecting data, and really just driving it through people and being gracious and giving people grace when they need it. You know what? Somebody might be having a bad day. Somebody might have to deal with a sick child at home. Somebody might be taking care of an elder parent. Somebody might be dealing with their own thing. If they come to work and they're only at 60% and they want to give 60%, then that's 100% to me, because I know the next time when 100% is needed, 100%, they will give 100%. So it's just being real. It's just being a person.
Oh. Being real as a leader, which does not mean that you are weak.
No. Yeah. It definitely doesn't.
What leadership lessons have you learned from someone else that has shaped who you are?
I think early on in my life, I've worked with some leaders that were that authoritative, they never gave a gratitude at all to their team. So I think that made me learn kind of how to be a better leader from what people didn't do. I think the same thing as being a mother. I know that I'm an exceptional mother, and I learned that from what I didn't get as a child, and I was going to break the cycle and make sure that my son, we're not perfect, but he had a great, he's a good person, and I was a great mother, and I still am a great mother. So with being a leader, it's that same kind of philosophy, just really giving the staff what they need to be successful.
And sometimes we learn that from the people who aren't giving it to us.
That's right. And I'm a big person to give a lot of kudos, to the point now I was joking with somebody on my team today that I know you're sick and tired of me telling you what a great job you're doing. So it's really empowering to hear it from others. So we got to get other people within the organization acknowledging the greatness of the work that's being done throughout the whole organization. It can't just be coming from the same person.
Yes. So you have established yourself within an organization, but you've also developed a whole consulting arm to the work that you're doing. Tell us a little bit about your actual consulting business.
I'm going to start a little bit with the trajectory of my career, because I think it really makes sense. When I graduated a million years ago with my bachelor's degree in elementary education, my first goal was to make sure that children grow up with some self-confidence and have that social and emotional learning. And so, and if they have any type of challenge or challenging behaviors, or if they need like intervention, I'm going to make sure that they get that. So as an executive director, I started my career as executive director of an early childhood program. My platform was social and emotional learning, and making sure that if any child in the program needed additional services that I was going to get them tested, because I wanted to make sure that when they went to kindergarten, that they would be ready to go and that they wouldn't encounter that self-doubt and what I did as a child. And so that started my trajectory. I started working with children. Then as my career went on, I'm like, you know what? I want to start helping teachers go back to school. I want to help people. I was told I would never go to college, that I was not college material, that I was too stupid and I would never amount to anything, right? Well, I have a master's degree and I graduated with a 4.0 on purpose because I was going to prove that I could do it. Well, now I want to give that opportunity to others. So I want to help people go back to school that didn't financially think they ever could, that are first generation college graduates, that also didn't think that they were smart enough to go to college. So then I started working for the last 10 years. I've been building and working in the apprenticeship model for the state of Pennsylvania. And so now I've got all these amazing stories of men and women getting their college degrees. So now I had this enlightening moment back in January and February, and I think that's what we talked about. I woke up one day and literally was like, I know what my next role is. I need to help women. I need to help other women who are trying to figure out their life. And so I have this consulting company. I want to share my story, and I want to help empower other people to design a life that has joy and purpose. And so through that, I've been sharing a lot. I read this great book called The Go-Giver, and it was all about just giving back and sharing. And so I've been posting a lot, probably ad nauseum on LinkedIn, but I just want to I've been sharing about the morning routine. I'm sharing about all the books that I've read. And moving forward, there's going to be some free seminars coming, and there's going to be, coaching sessions. And I just want to help other women, and whatever I can do to share my story, to empower others, to share my tips and tricks and help them get to where they want to be. I made this decision a couple years before my 50th birthday, because my son was going to graduate college by the time I was 50. My 50th year, he graduated college. And I thought, you know what? I have another half of my life, and it's time to give back and serve. And so that is my next project. And I'm really excited about it. And I'm really passionate about it, because if I can do it, anybody can do it.
There's so much in what you just said. I think back to a conversation I was having, it was either yesterday or the day before yesterday, with a team of leaders. And I used the question that Felicia Hatcher shares in a podcast from a movie that she saw. And the question was, who are you uninterrupted? And she has since that, the question, the podcast, that episode has gone viral. She has since created whole workbooks from literally that question, because people have said, as they did in the session that I showed them just the minute clip of her talking about the question, said, I've never heard that question before. But when I'm listening to you and your story, you are living the uninterrupted version of you.
I am now.
And part of what she says is, in order to get to the answer, you first have to be willing to explore what has interrupted you. You've got to name that first.
Yep.
And then begin to dream and think about, what could you build? Could you create? How could you live if you actually operated with life showing you the green light, not yellow or red, but green? And continue to build. And I know you're younger than me, but
not by much.
But even in your post-traumatic wisdom, at this age that you are now, you are still creating, designing. Because there are some people who are saying, I'm too old, or it's too late.
You are never too old. Never too old.
Yes.
Do you know that in our apprenticeship program, I have had people in their 60s and 70s graduating with their bachelor's degree?
Yeah.
You are never too
old.
Never too old.
I want you to look into the camera, and someone is listening and they're feeling stuck in old patterns or disconnected from their authentic self. What would you want them to know about starting over or creating the life that they actually could fall in love with?
Yeah. I would tell them to give themselves some grace to begin, and also for them to know that you deserve to live a joyful and purposeful life. And there is time left for everyone. And it doesn't take a lot. It's a little bit of some work and a lot of self-reflection, but you can do it, because if I can do it, anybody can do it.
And tell them how they can follow you.
So right now, the best way to follow me is on LinkedIn. I'm Caroline Campana-Reynolds. And if you want to reach out to me, I do have an email. It's caroline@campanaconsulting.com. Actually, campanaconsultinggroup.com, sorry. And reach out to me and let's have a conversation. And I'm more than happy to help. And the first 5 people that reach out to me, I'm happy to give you a free coaching lesson or coaching session because I just want to help. I want to empower other women.
As we close tonight, I want to leave you with this thought. The life you want will not build itself accidentally. It will be built intentionally. And what Caroline reminded us tonight is that transformation isn't about becoming someone new. It's about becoming who you were actually always meant to be. The people pleasing, the fear, the old narratives, the need to prove your worth, all of that is over. So here's your leadership challenge. I want you to take 15 minutes and ask yourself 3 questions. What am I tolerating? What am I carrying that no longer belongs to me? And what would living by design actually look like in this season? Then choose one action that aligns with the life you're trying to create. Because leadership isn't about building organizations. It's actually about building a life you don't need to escape from. And it's never too late to redesign your future. Those are the conversations we've been having all year with leaders from all across the country. And now it's your turn. Tag your it. What are you going to create for you this week? We'll see you again. Same time, same place in 2 weeks on the flip side. I'll see you then.